Stephanie Walsh with Side B Radio, hanging out in the boardroom of City Winery with Courrier. Can you guys introduce yourselves to the audience, please?
I'm Taylor.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Austin.
I'm Philip.
Cool. So you guys are from Austin, Texas.
Yes.
We are.
And it's been like being in New York City right now.
Feels like home.
Yeah.
Feels like Austin?
No.
It
feels
like
this should be our home.
Yeah.
We actually play in New York quite often, and it's one of our favorite cities. We actually wrote a song on the new record that's about New York, and so we did we shot a music video here and did our photos here. So it feels like home.
New York kind of actually was one of the huge inspirations for this record. Just us coming from Austin for the first time, getting into New York was just this kind of eye-opening experience, and it inspired a lot of the songs on the record.
Okay, and the record is called Cathedrals of Color.
Mm-hmm.
How did we come up with that title?
That image came up in a lyric that I wrote, and subsequently came up in a couple different lyrics. And then I think some of the other guys wrote a song, started a song about stained glass windows. And then the choir imagery came up a bunch, and so really kind of that whole cathedral motif kind of made it through all the songs on the record, and so that line kind of stuck and ended up being the title track to the album. So
awesome. This is your sophomore album.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the challenges in making a second record?
Money. No, it's always a challenge. Basically, from the point that you decide that you're going to record another record to the point of release, there are just millions and millions of different variables, from writing the songs to finding a place to record them to actually releasing it. And so the whole time we were just antsy to get out on the road, and it was a long and hard process that took almost a year without a whole lot of traveling and playing. And now, since we released it, we've been able to do since we finished recording it, we've been able to do 3 tours or so and actually play the music, which is a lot more rewarding than just sitting on it.
I think one of the big challenges of this record was just because this record, we took a different approach to the songwriting. We wanted to do it together, and we wanted it to be, just this group effort, and we wanted to make sure everybody was happy with every single part. And so there was a lot of butting heads, and going through 50 versions of a song during the songwriting process. But in the end, it ended up being really rewarding, and I think the songs came out better than they could have been had we just written them individually and made everybody play parts, etc. So.
You have 2 singles on the album right now?
We do. We released 2 singles so far.
Right. So, how did you decide on Inch of Rope and Love's a Fire to be the singles?
Love is Fire was the first song that we wrote for the record and recorded, and it really kind of defined the whole sound of the album. So we knew before we'd even written or recorded any of the rest of the record that was a single, that was a song that we were getting behind, and it ended up getting featured on Gossip Girl. And so we released it kind of in tandem with that, with the music video, and it ended up doing really well. And so that was kind of the first single, and then it went to radio and actually did fairly well at radio as well. And so when we recorded the record, we were looking for the next single, and I think all of us, there are a couple songs on there that we were trying to decide between. One of the songs about New York, City at Night, was definitely one of them. Will probably be the next single. But Inch of Rope has always been my favorite song on the record, and I think for all of us, it's been one of our favorite songs to play. And so that's kind of how we decided it. So.
Cool. How's the tour been going? This leg of tour, I guess. You said you toured 3 times for the album.
Yeah, so far since we finished recording, this tour's been going great. You've
been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
I've
been out for about 2 weeks now with Mark, and it's awesome. He's got a ton of fans, and they've been great to us so far. So we've had nearly sold out shows every night so far, and the next 2 nights in New York are sold out. So it's kind of hard to complain about sold out Manhattan.
Yeah.
Do you feel there's any kind of pressure for that?
No, I mean, I think a while ago we used to put pressure on ourselves to perform, but we have kind of settled into a routine of just going out and playing shows and performing for the people that are there and making fans. And so I feel like I'm personally in that routine, and so if there's any pressure, it's not from like the show itself.
I mean, we've gotten to the point where we treat every show as if it were a sold out show. I mean, that's not necessarily our mentality, but we try to bring that energy to a room if it was packed, or if it was, half full. So
Or even like a house show, there's 15 people in the living room.
Which is always fun.
Yeah, exactly. We've just realized that if we bring that energy, then that energy kind of gets multiplied by the crowd, and then we, even get more excited. And
So how did you guys get together? Like, how did Courrier form?
Well, Philip and I met each other in college. We actually had our first college class ever together, and at the time we weren't really pursuing music per se, but both of us were just guitar players, and so we hit it off and always just played guitar together and started writing songs pretty much immediately. But it kind of took finishing up school to get serious about it. And right around that time, we met Nathan, who was looking to find some people to drum with, and so that worked out really well. And Taylor, we had known all along, but what many people might not actually know is that Taylor wasn't a bass as his first instrument player.
Yeah.
He was a synth, guitar,
Actually
singer.
started...
everything but bass.
Everything but bass. It's
Yeah.
odd, I wasn't a very good drummer, but I started playing bass with the band, and I had played a little bit, but, I had... Philip, the last bass player, left the band, and was like, Philip was looking for a bass player. I was like, I'll do it. And I kind of like joking, and he's like, really? And since we were already really good friends, I think, it ended up being like...
Yeah.
It made a lot of sense. It made way too much sense.
Yeah, so I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
Awesome. How has the transition to bass been for you?
Oh, it's been interesting. If you know me, I'm kind of like a tweak and a little bit of like, I'm pretty wound up. So like having to like lay back and like groove is like not my natural thing. But it's been good for my soul. It's been cool.
I feel like you now fully own the part of a bass player.
Oh yeah,
I'd say you are.
It is my main instrument. I am a bass player.
Yeah.
So I do other things. Like I play synth and I play a little bit of guitar, but I am a bass player.
You do it well.
Thank you.
I feel like I know bassists who like can't play guitar, like they can only play bass.
Yeah.
So do you feel like it was easier to learn to transition?
No, because as a guitar player, you make really bad habits for playing bass, like groove and playing behind the beat. So I would say, in some ways, it's a little harder for me because I have interesting habits as an ex-guitar player.
Yeah.
So who inspires you guys?
Well, I mean, we can list off a million different names.
Artists. Yeah. And further than that, like cities and authors and just innumerable sources. But band-wise,
Main
what you
ones.
really want to hear, like Death Cab for Cuties, big inspiration for me. The National, whom we were listening to today. The big ones: Coldplay, Radiohead, U2. That's like, yeah.
Arcade
And
Fire.
you're going to Asbury Park.
Yeah.
Oh god. That's
We're
what I
gonna
was gonna
listen
say.
to
We're
Springsteen
gonna.
all the way there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do an acoustic Springsteen. That would be really like.
Well, you should do that tonight then.
Yeah.
I'll listen to that.
Bruce Springsteen has a standing spot on Courrier's guest list.
Yeah.
You said you were listening to The National today. Who else are you guys listening to right now?
Tegan and Sarah.
Oh,
is
yeah.
big one.
Their record.
That new record is unbelievable.
I mean, we probably listened to like a million artists on it.
The last record from Snow Patrol is one of the best records I've ever heard, and has been one of our favorite records for a while.
Unbelievable. Every song.
Yeah.
I'm listening to a lot of, actually in the van we listen to this band called Haim. It's like this chick, kind of 80s, trio of girls. It's just really awesome. It's like, I don't know. I love 80s music, so they really do it well, so.
Cool.
You said you're into synth, so probably.
Yeah, that's right.
What,
I could
80s?
go on. Yeah.
You guys just did a photo shoot for Rolling Stone.
We did.
We did, yeah, that was
How
cool.
did that come about?
We Rolling Stone teamed up with like the Texas Department of Tourism, and so they chose a couple of bands to kind of represent Texas. And we are from all over Texas, and that's where we're based out of. And it's where I was born and raised. Actually, most of us were born and raised. And so yeah, they just asked us to be a part of it, and we've done plenty of photo shoots before, but we had no idea what to expect. We show up and there's a trailer for us with 15 people working the set, and there's a stylist and a makeup art and hair artist.
Huge
and
lights everywhere.
Yeah, we were just like, okay, this is cool, and
So it was one of the bigger things.
super legit.
It was
One of the
very
more
legit.
legit things we've done.
Yeah.
So.
And it's pretty cool because I think Texas really wanted to just say, like, we're not all, like, Texas country here. Like, there's more to Texas than that,
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we were an ideal choice for them.
Texas wanted to say that.
Yeah.
The state.
Yes.
The state.
The
Well,
actual
that's
state.
Texas
Yes.
tourism, that's what
The
they were
state
going
of
for.
Texas speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's
Yeah.
right though. Like
Yeah.
I've never been down. Like I grew up in South Florida, so but South Florida is more like up here than it is like southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my mind, any southern state is like a bunch of like
Yeah.
hillbillies. and,
Totally.
like,
We do
Except
have
for,
cars.
but I think that Austin now it's becoming one of the coolest cities in America. It definitely is.
Oh, I keep being told that
Yeah.
I need to check it. That there's a huge music scene
I
down
think
there, and I'm
everyone's-
like, yeah.
It's changing people's perceptions. It's supposed to be the live music capital of the world, at least that's what they say. But then, Austin City Limits Festival and South by Southwest Festival,
Right.
Yeah.
it's where the cool kids are.
Yeah. I asked a
I know
girl.
plenty of people who in South by Southwest
Yeah.
this year.
And some of the not cool kids, too, unfortunately.
I asked a girl who lived in New York. This was a couple years ago. I asked her where she's from. She's like, New York. She's like, where are you from? I was like, from Texas. And she goes, oh my gosh, do you ride a horse to school every day?
That's
And I was
awful.
like, this is when I was still in high school. And I was like, are you serious? Like, no.
That's like asking Australians if like they have kangaroos
Yeah,
in their backyard
yeah.
and stuff. Like
Are you
really.
serious? Of course I do.
Yeah, yeah.
What else would I ride to school?
We have cars and technology.
It's technology has made its way.
Dirt
into-
roads. So it's cool that
We're
you
here to
guys are
educate.
showing, and people who read Rolling Stone magazine need
There
to
you go.
know that Austin is where it's at now. So the thing on your website said that you told them like some of your favorite places to go and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do in Austin?
We like to eat.
Number one thing probably is a place called Alamo Draft House,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a movie theater / restaurant. And
Just opened in New York City though.
did it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one of the
Oh.
coolest places in the country. The food is unbelievable, and they just they serve you while you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
Is it like a dinner theater with the movie, or
Yeah.
is it like?
But
It's
it's
it's not formal at all.
It's like
though.
theater
It's
seating
super
now.
cool.
But they
stuff.
take out every other row and they put like a really thin table and there's like waiters and it's really
Okay.
unintrusive to
Just,
the
just
movie.
imagine the best theater possible and like a really good restaurant at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're out to make really efficient date nights.
Do you guys have like stories about like people that you've met that like inspirational people that you've met?
John Mayer was one. So John Mayer, surprisingly enough, I feel like he's kind of one of those people that's like the troubled artist. Like has a lot of like, I feel like the people that are just geniuses, like Kanye and John Mayer, like those are guys that I think are just geniuses. But I think they're also like can't really function in normal society because they're too, they're too artistic
Michael
or too
Jackson was
talented.
kind of that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that they kind of fall, and I mean, a lot of people like Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain, a lot of those people, I think, not that they're that extreme, but I think
Well,
they kind of
Kurt
fall.
Cobain kind of-
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about John Mayer.
Right. Okay.
I think they kind of fall in that category, but I was a part of a Q&A with John Mayer, and he's just a genius. Like the way that he thinks about, not the way he thinks about music, but about like the music industry and stuff. And so I really respect his opinion on that, at least, if not his personal life for sure. But y'all met Robert Plant.
Oh yeah,
at our
Austin,
restaurant.
Austin and I were so Robert Plant, singer Led Zeppelin, lives in Austin, and Austin and I were at a restaurant with his dad, and Robert Plant sits right next to us. And how can you not see those big
Right,
gold locks?
yeah.
And coincidentally, we had
With
just
Patty Griffin, of
with
course,
Patty, yeah,
too.
and we had just finished recording a record with our producer Tim Palmer, who has done a ton of Robert Plant solo records, and so we texted Tim, and Tim was like, "Say hi," because we were way too nervous to just like walk up to him, or I was at least. And so Austin walks up and says like, "Hey, we just worked with Tim Palmer." It was like an excuse to say something to him, and he ended up being really nice to talk to him for a second. But it was just like,
That's awesome.
it's like a big idol of mine.
Honestly,
That's
one of the, some of the
like
most
random.
inspirational people we met have been like people on the road. Like we did a tour with Duncan Sheik, and he and his band we were on the bus with them, and they were super inspirational to us because they're
Yeah.
extremely talented and like some of the most like humble people we've ever been on the
for
road
sure.
with. And that was like a crazy tour. We had to deal with some really weird stuff on the road, and like watching the way they dealt with it was super cool. And
Like what?
oh, you don't want to
Just
know.
band
But,
drama,
they were
not
okay,
between
alright.
either of us, but
they were just amazing musicians. Like we would just watch them in awe every
Mhm.
night. And,
And they're just like
Those are
kind
cool than that.
people too, you know. It's like
Yeah.
every band we've toured with has been pretty
Been awesome.
great, and like we've learned a lot from every band we've toured with.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Broussard is awesome.
Yeah.
His band is fantastic. Yeah.
Duncan Sheik wrote Spring Awakening, didn't he?
He
He
did.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever think you could venture into doing other things besides
That's
like
not really what we're. I mean, we could other things. Not. I don't
Ian
think
is
theater.
going
Spring
to.
Awakening. Like Spring Awakening.
the show? Yeah, Duncan
Yeah,
Sheik
the
wrote
music.
that.
I don't know that. I don't know anything about Spring Awakening.
If 20 years in the future, I was writing musical theater, I'd be really weirded out, but it could happen.
Hey, Green Day did it. I mean,
Oh, wow. Okay.
the guys
You
from
guys
South
sure
Park
musical
have like
theater.
the #1 show right now.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't know that.
You never know.
Book of Mormon.
Perfect. They're such good
Book
shows.
of Mormon's amazing.
Oh,
you guys
so
should try
good,
to
man.
see
I've
it
seen
while
it.
you're here.
Yeah. I've seen it. It's pretty good.
So, what's your plan? How long are you guys on tour for?
Another week and a half. We're about halfway through right now.
And then what's your plan? Are you gonna release another single? Or?
No, I think this summer we're gonna
Still
try
a
to
lot
get
more touring left to do.
We're gonna try to get onto the road again, but we're definitely gonna start doing some writing for it. You know, the next record cycle. We just like to stay in the habit of practicing writing songs. It's a skill, other than just playing instruments. It's a whole other thing you have to learn how to do.
And keep practicing.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
thanks.
having us.